Yeah, welcome everybody again to this international conference on faith-driven investments with an Africa-Europe focus. I'd like to come to this closing session. We agreed that I will try to make a summary of some key points and then also mention some steps on behalf of the four organizers, and the four organizers will then also have the floor. But I would like to start with a thanks. And you may be surprised, I start with a thanks with a tiny being, and that is called coronavirus. And you may say, why thanks? Because we held this conference as an online conference, which is of course a constraint of Corona pandemic, as we know. On the other hand, I invite those who are the carbon specialists to calculate how much CO2 emission we saved by having it as an online conference instead of having 100 people flying to Geneva with a airplane and with carbon emissions. So that's half serious, half joking, but it shows that we try to do the best out of a pandemic, which is a global crisis, and but to continue and not to give up, as I said in the opening remark. But then the thanks go to the tech team. Hong and Pipa, you see them here as the two key pillars, directors of technology, if I may say, because an online conference is a technological challenge. And if we can manage 80%, then we are successful. And I think we had some problems. We apologize for that, but it's more than 80% successful. So thank you very much. And behind you, the whole team of Sarah, and then 5 people in Geneva supporting this. Then thanks to speakers and the moderators, it's amazing how the wealth of knowledge you bring to the table, and that made all the wealth of this conference, but also the attendees, of course. We know that some had difficulties to join, but the majority could come in. Now, after these thanks, I would like to highlight 3 things. First, to remind the type of conference we held, then some selected recommendations and outcomes, and then some next steps. So the first, the type of conference we held here, it's an online, but more important is a multi-stakeholder and multidisciplinary and multi-faith conference. So multi means we try to really make bridges, as it was said several times during this, and the fact that we are 4 organizations coming together, World Council of Churches, World Evangelical Alliance Business Circle, and the Faith Invest and Geneva Gabor Foundation also should express that multi-aspect. And we have UNIAPAC and we have many other organizations who are present. So we believe that solving the challenges of this world, we can only do by cooperation and not by fighting each other and sending them to the devil, looking ourselves as being on the way to heaven. We are all in one boat and we need to cooperate, and we want to. The second type or characteristic of this conference was the Africa-Europe focus. I come later to the follow-up of that. And the third element was this faith-driven focus. So to mobilize and to help to mobilize the faith communities, the value-driven communities, to say we have a lot to contribute, we have a lot of assets, we have a lot of competencies and skills. Let us bring it to the table, especially to contribute to the SDGs. Now let's come to the second point, recommendations and outcomes. I cannot summarize everything, but we heard a lot of concrete examples, concrete encouraging steps done, not theory, but really people who walk the talk already and invite us to join them in walking the talk. So this multi-stakeholder approach is my first point in these recommendations and outcomes, to continue to look at that, the private sector, the NGOs, the churches, the public sector means governments. I think we are in a period, and COVID underlines that we need this coalition across sectors. We cannot be without the governmental regulations. We cannot be without the private sector money inflow. We cannot be without the academics and their knowledge and scientific objectivity. And we cannot be without the faith communities and their whole grassroots level, and also their values and spirituality. My second point in this outcome summary, we have seen the business model, profit and purpose, was a term used throughout the day. That means the awareness that business today has to combine profit and purpose. It's not a grant making conference. It is about business, and we have to take it serious that we still need models which are sustainable. That means which get a return, but with purpose. It's not a return maximization, it's a return optimization based on purpose. And that means there is an increased awareness, as it was said in several of the panels, increased awareness of the need for impact, for social responsibility, while still maintaining an increasing value of the capital invested. So this balance, I think, was a kind of like a green line in this conference. And if we can continue on that to further concretize this balance between profit and purpose, then we can contribute. The third remark on this is building bridges between investors, churches, governments, experts, academics, as I said already, in the multi-stakeholder approach. My fourth point in terms of recommendations or outcomes I heard is the SDGs are referred to in almost every contribution. It's a global frame, and it's only 10 years left. It's amazing how this time is flying to reach these goals. And we know that with COVID, we have some backlash and we have some additional challenges. So to reach the goal, even if we don't reach them, but we maintain them as goal. And even if it would be 10 years later, it would be already great. So let's commit ourselves or renew our commitment across faith communities and across sectors to contribute to the SDGs as our frame. And the fifth point in outcomes, the credible faith communities, and that is a challenge. I think we heard also. There's also corruption in faith communities. There are struggles, there are denominational struggles, there are power struggles, and how can we contribute that faith communities are faithful to their values? And that means also reliable and trustworthy for investors, because investors, I think that was also expressed also in the last panel, are sometimes skeptical. They say, yeah, it's nice to have a church, but they are not competent and they are not professional. So the faith communities need to show that they have professional governance structures, data structures, all that what is needed for credible investments. And we had good examples who showed how to do that. But it needs also credible theology, because we all know that these churches or faith communities, is it a guru in India? Is it a Pentecostal church? Is it a Protestant or Catholic church? Is it an imam who are not credible because they, under the umbrella of religion, do their own, defend their own interest before the common interest. So this challenge, we in the faith communities have to deal with in a very serious way. And I mentioned this as an interfaith challenge because I published, I say it myself, not as a summary here, I published the book on corruption-free churches, and I'm about to finish the book about corruption-free religions. And then you see that the challenges across, if it's a Buddhist, the head of the Buddhist in China who is now in jail, and all this across. So if we want to attract investors, we need to do our homework. With that, I come to the final next steps very briefly. The first next step, videos will be available. We registered the whole day, and we have a specialist here in Geneva who was among the helpers also, assistants who will then cut, and so that we have for the plenaries at least, we have this roughly 1 hour videos, and then we will produce a short video clip of maybe 10 minutes, which can also be used as a promotional summary, so to say. That will take a bit of time, but I think within the next month, 4 weeks, we should be available. And then we plan a short publication, not a real book with all the speeches, but with some summaries, and then the links to the respective organizations, and the presentations will be online on the conference page, so that you can even next week access the presentations already. So these are the practical outcomes, and then we can announce 2 events. One is that on the 5th of March, we plan a similar event with the same organizations for the Asian region, for the time zone reason, as I mentioned in the morning in the opening session. So we will have a similar setting with different speakers, more Asian speakers than Africans. Some may be the same speakers. So in your network, please make that known 5th of March. Then we also plan a specific workshop run by Oikos Invest. Oikos Invest is this new foundation specialized on faith-driven or values-driven investments, especially we start with Africa. And this is an invitation only workshop for those who apply for an investment and a deal, a cooperation. So very practical now to see where can that be implemented, what was discussed here. So these are a few remarks from my side, and I'd like to invite Nana on behalf of Faith Invest to say half a minute.
Thank you very much, Christoph. Yes, just to say thank you so much to everybody, the background team, panelists, moderators, attendees for joining us today. It's so encouraging to come to a faith-based conference and see concrete examples of putting profit and purpose, and I'd rather put the other way around, purpose and profit together, and to see how much learning there is that can be shared amongst all of us. This really is what faith-aligned or faith-consistent investing is, and it's encouraging to see so much progress from today, and we look forward to really taking the conversations that have started today into the next steps, to keeping in touch with all of you and seeing how amongst the 4 groups who participated, we can help you to mobilize that capital. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nana. Timo, World Evangelical Alliance Business Coalition.
Yes, I'm thrilled about the variety of contributions and thankful for that. It really was the desired fireworks of ideas. And many thanks for all feedbacks. I just quote one who wrote to me, "Hi Timo, it is brilliant. I am so inspired." So thanks for your joining, and it was really good. And I hope that we will have some kind of follow-up out of this day and conference today.
Thank you very much. And Athena, last but not least, representing the World Council of Churches, which is also hosting in the house, in the Ecumenical Center in Geneva in the past, and now helping a lot in the online. Athena.
Great. So yes, on behalf of the World Council of Churches and our Deputy General Secretary, Isabel Piri, who spoke earlier, I would just like to add again our deep thanks to all the partners here. Lovely to work with all of you. We had as many people have mentioned, we've had an inspiring conference. At the same time, really deep thanks to all the participants who were committed in this time of so many online events. It really required a lot of commitment to join this full day conference, and for deep thanks for sharing your experiences, not just in terms of what makes projects successful, but also I was really thankful for the sharing around the challenges and the learnings that came out from that. So like everyone else has said, we look forward to the next steps and hopefully to a time when we can gather together in person and work together for a more equitable and sustainable planet in faith, love, and hope. So again, deep thanks.
Thank you very much, Athena. I can only add share the email info@gafoundation.world, and all the other emails you may have exchanged during the day, and then we can continue the connections and the cooperation. And you, Athena, summarized it excellently with these 3 words, and the last one is with love. We try to continue our cooperation and with faith and hope, and thank you so much, and enjoy your evening and enjoy your weekend. We keep in touch, and we are thankful for all your inspirations. Bye. Thank you so much.